Hi and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes Podcast. My name is Audrey and this is a nitty yarny podcast from the southwest of France. And I have just pressed record just when it started raining. So we are in the middle of a heat wave. The hair is very heavy and I'm suffering. But right now it's raining. It's a kind of a stormy weather. Why already? Hi, welcome. I hope you're doing well. I am. I have a little episode for you this time. I again don't have much to share since I am working on secret stuff, but I do have a few things that I wanted to talk about and I wanted to show you as far as crafting goes. So yay! I just want to go under that rain at the moment, but I'm filming for you guys. So, I will start. There are timestamps to all the different sections of the podcast in the description down below, so if you want to skip anything, feel free to look at that and jump ahead. If you're not interested in any section, you can jump easily from one to another. I also put links to everything that I talk about, as well as my social media, pattern for sale on Ravelry and Payhip. And I'm gonna start with that. So, I'm gonna start with a little Ravelry rant, because you might have noticed that Ravelry has had a design update a month or so ago now. I got bitten by a bug, I'm sorry. Ravelry has had a design update a month or so ago. And quite quickly after that I made a few stories about the problems when they started coming up, and Ravelry started silencing the problems. I made a few Instagram stories back then, and I noticed that a lot of you were not aware of what was happening. Some people were asking me what's that about, and yeah, makes sense, since Ravelry has his sort of not publicly addressing the issue and deleting any forum threads that talk about it. So, yes. So, Ravelry has had a new design update, and it's not a question of whether people like it or not. I do like it. I do think it's really refreshing, and I like their icons and everything. But the problem is it is not accessible for people that are neurodivergent, people that have vision issues. Basically, people have had migraines, terrible migraines. Some even have had seizures repetitively, and this is yeah. So it's not a matter of liking it or not. It's a matter of it affecting people's health and taking away Ravelry and the community that it implies from people. And I think the main issue for me is the fact that Ravelry is not even acknowledging the problem. They have not. Every time they mention some fixes or some changes, they always phrase it as if it's a matter of taste, and they're not. They're not just saying that people are having some bad health issues in relation to this design. And the thing is, you can now revert to the old Ravelry look, but the problem is, to do that you need to go through the new one, and they are also implementing features of the new design in the old one, and in some, so you're not completely sheltered from clicking on the link or seeing something that might trigger a migraine or a seizure for you. And so it's yes, it's not 100% safe. Even if you have the opportunity to revert back to the old look, it's not enough. And I'm sorry for kicking the camera, but yeah, I am just when you are neurodivergent or neuroatypical, like the vocabulary is uncertain for me. It's like you kind of spend your whole life having people telling you that what you do or what you are experiencing is like your own fault, that if you would just try, if you'd stop acting up, then it wouldn't be a thing. So yes, whether it's social issues or for people who are having it affecting their actual physical health as well. And it's just, that's what Ravelry has done to these people, and I'm just not really happy about it. And I just don't get it, because they have been very proactive, like very forward in terms, well, not very forward, but at least they have done quite a bit of things regarding inclusivity, whether it's anti-racism, whether it's for the LGBTQA plus community, or whether it's for size inclusivity. But now that it's about accessibility as far as disability comes into play, and like brains that are wired differently, it just seems to block there, and it just baffles me. But I'm used to it, because that is also a thing that I experience. Even though in my case I am lucky enough that I'm not affected visually. So yeah, it's just a bit disappointed. And yeah, I just wanted to address the topic so that whenever I share something on Instagram or around here, you are aware of the problem. So the things we can do is, there is an open letter that have been written by, I think her name is Sarah Goodwin. I'm sorry if I misremember that, but I will put the link in the description below. There is a Google Doc with an open letter from designers to Ravelry that just asks them to acknowledge the issue and revert back to classic look until the issues are fixed, because it's not about rejecting change, it's about making it well and not hurting people and removing people from the access to Ravelry. And so if you're a designer, like meaning if you ever sold anything through Ravelry, you can sign that letter. So I will leave the link in the description below. It's just a little thing that we can do to sort of express our will for Ravelry to do better, because we just want it to be good for everyone. And second thing is that I have made sure that my patterns are available easily on another platform. I was already on Lovecrafts, but it's a different way of doing things. So I have set up a Payhip store. All of my patterns are on Payhip at the moment, and it works I chose Payhip because it works pretty smoothly, basically. A few things to note is that the price that you see on Payhip is about 20% lower than the price you see on Ravelry, because Payhip allows me to easily put in place a pay what you want, pay what works system. So basically the prices on Payhip are lower and you can modify them. So the price that you see is the minimum price that pays me, like, at least cover my costs. And you can, excluding VAT, which so Payhip adds the VAT on top of that. I don't see it, but it's for your country. So the price that you see is excluding VAT, and it's the minimum. So I wanted to use that as a way to make my patterns even more financially accessible in a permanent manner, rather than waiting for my birthday sale. That way, if you are in need of patterns but you can't afford them traditionally, you can go to Payhip and you can pay the minimum price, or if you are in a position that you can afford more, or you want to support me extra, you can modify that price. So that is one thing regarding Payhip. The second thing is that you can see a preview of the PDF, of the pattern PDF. So if you look at the top right corner of the pattern picture, you can see a preview, and it basically will open a PDF with the first few pages of the design, so you can see the schematic, for instance, and all the measurements. And third thing regarding Payhip is that, and that is written at the top of the page description, when you make a purchase through Payhip, there is a box that you have to tick. It says send me product updates via email. And that is the little problem with Payhip, is that if you don't tick that box, and then there are pattern updates like corrections or wink wink mystery KALs, and I have new files to send to you, if you didn't tick that box, I won't be able to. You will have to warn me that you didn't get the update, and I will have to manually send it to you, which I can do, but it's a bit of trouble. So yeah, that's just one thing to keep in mind, is that when you buy through Payhip, please tick that box. I do not use that feature for any newsletter. I do not send any other email other than the ones that pertain to the pattern that you purchase. So that is that. And yeah, it's just another convenient platform, an alternative to Ravelry for those who cannot access it at the moment. So yeah, these are just some things that I wanted to address regarding the new platform I'm using and the Ravelry topic. Now, this doesn't mean that I will not put my patterns on Ravelry anymore, because yeah, whenever you use a new platform or try something different, people are always like, does this mean you are leaving Ravelry or the previous platform that you were using? No, I am not leaving the platform that counts for 99.9% of my revenue, even though they are acting up. I will have both alternatives for you to choose from. Now I am going to start with the actual content of the podcast, and starting with designs that I have published on both platforms. So I am launching my first mystery knit along. So so it's the Page of Wands cowl. So it's a colorwork cowl, and you can find all the details about the design, the mystery knit along and everything on the pattern pages that I'm linking down below. So if you want to know everything, if you want to join me and participate in the mystery knit along, you will have those to check out. I will also, in the next few days, upload a separate video where I present to you the mystery knit along. I didn't want to put it here in the middle of the mess because I wanted the information to be easily accessible specifically for the mystery knit along. So just wait a few days for that information to come up, and yeah, if you already are curious and want to see the details, the links to the patterns are in the description. I'm a little bit stressed out because more than usually in a mystery knit along, you're wondering if anyone's actually going to purchase the pattern and come and have fun. But yeah, I really hope you will enjoy. I really do like the design. Like I said, it's a colorwork cowl. I'm really excited about the whole process of it, and so I hope you will like it too. And yeah, so stay tuned for this presentation video that will come in the next couple of days. Now, for another design that I have published last week, I believe. No, the week after, the week before. A week or so ago. It's the top that I am currently wearing, and it's the Zinnie top. And so it's my holiday easy summer knit, basically summer top. So it's a cotton tank top that is knitted in DK weight. I used leftover yarns, leftover cotton yarns, so it's sort of a stash busting project. So I saw basically these 3 yarns that I had left over in my stash, and I just thought they looked kind of fun together, so I decided to make this top. The pink color is Woll but Camilla, the blue is Adriafil Cheope, and the gold is Phildar Fil Coton 4. So they're all DK weight cotton, pretty standard. They're all rather soft, drapey cotton, and they worked together to make this top. So it is a drop shoulder tee with lots of ease. Have fun trying to guess which tattoos are real and which are not. A little game for you. So you start knitting it bottom up. You start with the hems, the 2 split hems. So the back one is longer, and it's a 2x2 twisted rib. The way cotton defines stitches, sometimes it's like it's all or nothing. It either ruins the things for me or it makes them better. I don't really like the look of twisted ribbing 1x1 in cotton. I think it looks a bit too open, but the 2x2 worked nicely. So you have the 2 hems that you knitted, then you join in around and you start the slip stitch motif. Basically, I didn't want to do just stripes because cotton is heavy and tends to drag down. So if I just did stockinette and stripes, I would have had, and for a top that had so much ease, I just wanted, it would have dragged down and you wouldn't have hold its shape as nicely. So what I did is that I used slipped stitches. So you have a stripe of blue, and then in the pink and gold one you have a slipped stitch motif, which makes sort of a waffly effect, and it basically contradicts the tendency of the fabric to drag, and so it's sort of holding its shape a little bit better. So yeah, you knit this in the round up until the armholes, then you split back and front. You knit the back again in the motif until you undo a few stitches at the back. You continue a little bit to shape the back of the neck, and then you start again with the front, knitting with the motif. And then I didn't want to bring the motif up until my face because it's quite heavy and especially in these colors it's like a little bit psychedelic, so I didn't want it to be too busy around my face, and I really liked the pink. I think that color really suits me, and I wanted something a little bit more calm, a little bit more yeah, preppy, nice mood around the face. So it's also easier that way to shape the neck, so I just started knitting in stockinette with the main color, and then you use a 3 needle bind off for the shoulders, and then you pick up stitches for the neck and the armholes, and you knit the endings in 2x2 twisted ribbing again. So it's a really basic construction. I really wanted a top that knits up fast, knits up easy, and that is just like you go on holiday, you want a quick project, you want a stash busting project that you can use any sort of yarn you have. Like I said, I used really cheap cotton leftovers. Cotton and linen blends, they work really well, like Bohème by Fonty or Knit Picks Kotlin, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. And if you have bouncy merinos, they work as well. Yeah, and as far as color palette goes, you can go and check my testers versions. Some of them made gradients, like if you work in a gradient of blue or something, it works really nicely. Pastel color look cute. Neutrals as well, like a set of grays and everything. Yeah, it's just it can look very different depending on the color choice, and I just think that's really fun. Mine is very cropped, very cropped. You can see my breast stops here basically, and so yeah. So I like to wear it over a dress, or like if I have very high-waisted pants or short leg. No, it's just it's weird. But yeah, so over a dress is nice. And what else? I think I said everything. So this is Zinnie, little easy summer top, DKW cotton, and so I hope you like it. It's available, like I said, on Ravelry for a week or so now, and it is also on Payhip with like a 20% lower minimum price if you'd like to go and check it out. So yeah, I hope you like it, because I do. And yeah, I'm going to move on to sort of sharing my works in progress. I have been working in a lot of secret things at the moment, and some of them you're gonna start seeing being revealed soon, I think. But yes, one of the things that I have been working on, and it is sort of secret, but I can sort of say, is I've been lucky enough to work with Quince Co. So back in March they had a call for design submissions for their collections, and so some of my designs were accepted, so I'm really happy for that. So yeah, it's a funny thing because I came up with the designs back in March, and then they're gonna be published like in 2021, and I really like having so much time. But yeah, the first one is, so the first shawl, like it's yeah, it's a shawl. I'm showing you the wrong side anyway, but yeah, it's a shawl. And that is done, but I'm currently working on the second sample, which I'm like trying to finish. And this is with their linen yarn, with their Sparrow yarn, and I'm really enjoying it. So they have the Kestrel as well, which I think is decay weight, but it's like a chain thread, and I would like to try that as well. But this time I'm working with Sparrow, which is a true fingering weight linen yarn, and I really like that because sometimes you get linen yarns that are finer than what you would think or need, and you get fingering weight that is like almost lace weight, and you kind of have to hold it double. And yeah, but this works very fine. I'm using 3mm needles, and I think I'm getting a 25 stitch gauge. But yeah, I'm knitting a tank top, and I'm not gonna show you the bottom because the hem is what's fun here. So I just wanted to show you the fabric that it makes, and it's really nice and airy. It's not too loose. I really like the color. It's not a color that I would have chosen for an all over look. It's a bit dark, but I kind of like it. It's kind of a classic shade. It looks really fun. So yeah, it's I'm almost to the armholes, and then it's gonna go quite quickly, I hope. But yes, it's I really can't wait to block it. It's that thing with linen, is that if you use different stitch techniques, like right now I have a texture on the hem with little cables, and then I'm like in stockinette. The transition between one another is like, looks so messy, and it looks so wrong until you block it and everything just sort of flows together. So I'm really looking forward to blocking it and seeing it drape in all its glory. But yes, this is the Fen colorway, by the way, I didn't even say it. But yes, so this is what I'm working on at the moment, and hopefully by next time you see me in a podcast I will have finished it, so I will have some new things to share with you. One last project that I wanted to talk about is a wall hanging weaving that I'm doing. My sister's birthday is coming up, and my mother asked me if I wanted to make a decor, a wall hanging thing for her, because she's moving in a new house at the moment. So I just picked up my old weaving loom, and I started doing this. Her furniture and everything is quite dark, so I decided to do something with mustard, black and white. Mostly it's gonna be mustard and white so that it's light enough. But yeah, this is what I'm doing. So I made a little sketch, and it's gonna be quite funny seeing how much it doesn't look like my sketch once I'm finished, because you make a sketch full of good intentions and then you're too lazy, or you have other ideas, and it just is not like this. But so far it's alright. The plan is to have the black frame all around, and then I made some little triangles, some bigger triangles, and I don't think I'm gonna do this. I wanted to make like stripes, diagonal stripes here. I think this is gonna be too dark and too busy, so I think I'm gonna change that. I want something a bit lighter. I'm using leftover knitting for Olive Merino, drops Lima in the cream. It's a bit thicker. I wanted some texture for the white, and this is the same cotton as the blue one that's here, but in black, so it's Adriafil Cheope. And yeah, so what I've done so far is I have made my warp in black because I wanted to play with like negative space, and as you can see, so I will do the whole frame, the rectangle, all in with like a line of black. I have used the hem stitch at the bottom to secure the bottom. So like when you're weaving, you need to secure the edges. It's like if you're sewing, you know that if you cut fabric it frays because the weft is not secured, so you need to sew over it to secure it, and it's the same with weaving. So I use the hem stitch. Basically you sort of make little knots around the edge so that it stays put. I have made some little triangles, and then I've left some empty space where you can see the warp here. Then I've done some sumac. So this little braid effect, you do it by wrapping the yarn around the warp, and basically you end up with a slanted stitch. So you have a stitch that first goes, basically it's 2 rows. So you can see at the bottom you have the stitch that go this way in a slant, and so you go all the way there, and then when you come back you have the stitches that are slanted in the opposite way. And so this, when you stack them together, it makes a braid. And I kind of like that effect as a texture play. And so then I'm making the bigger triangles basically, and it's gonna mirror a little bit the little ones. And I'm gonna make some here, one black here, and I'm gonna leave the warp to show as well. Basically, if you look at my drawing, which it won't look the same proportionally because I couldn't count properly and I didn't put enough warp threads as I needed to have the correct number of triangles that I drew. Like, all of this here is gonna be empty, showing warp. Then I'm gonna have some stripes again with the white and the sumac and everything. And then, like I said, at the top I'm not so sure. I would like it to be lighter, so more white, and possibly play a little bit with the warp. When you weave, you have the vertical threads, and then you take here the warp, and you have your weft, which is the horizontal thread, and you go over, under, over, under, over, under. And typically you do 1-1, so it makes a even stacked fabric like this. But then you can play a little bit with how many warp threads you go over or under, and then you can show more of them and make texture things. So this is what I'm gonna do, I think, at the top instead of the really heavy stripes. And yeah, like I said, at the bottom I secured it because I don't think I'm gonna put a fringe. I think if I put a fringe it's gonna look very heavy because it's like so geometric and in your face sort of thing, that if on top of that I put like fringe, it's gonna be really, really heavy. So I might just cut and leave it like this, small and dainty and rustic looking. So yeah, I need to do this in the next couple of days because then my parents need to take it to my sister. And yeah, it doesn't take that much time to weave, but still. So I kind of need to get going with that. And yeah, so that is the 2 things I have been working on at the moment, both knitting and weaving. It's been a while since I shared something else than knitting on the podcast. But yeah, I'm kinda in the mood to try new things. I discovered Bargello stitch, so I may have ordered stuff to do some things, but we'll see how it goes. And before it's gonna be just horrendous and you never hear me talk about it ever again. But yeah, I think I've said everything about projects and everything. Yes, I'm gonna finish with a little Patreon chat. So if you don't know, I am on Patreon. I have a Patreon page, which is the first language that you see there is French, but everything is also written in English. And basically it's a way for you to it's another way for you to get some of my patterns. If you know in a certain month you want to get a pattern or 2, you can come to my Patreon. And you also have access to test knits earlier on, etc. Basically, every month you can get 1 pattern if you're at the 2nd level, so $5, and 2 patterns if you're at the 3rd level, so $10. Again, VAT on top of that. And if you have VAT or any sort of tax system. How is it called in Norway? In Australia it's GST, I think. Anyway, so yeah, and so you can get the patterns, you have access to behind the scenes. For example, my Patreons, they know about the Mystery KAL and everything for a couple of weeks now. And you also have, every month I put technical discussion video, either behind the scenes of my design work or any sort of topic that I have had questions about, knitting related. Yeah, I basically make a video about this. These videos, I record them in French, but I subtitle them in English later, so you can still view them. And it also you get the best out of it, because I subtitle them, and this way I remove all the unnecessary repetitions or the hesitations. So basically you can just watch it at 3 times the speed and just read the subtitles. But yeah, anyway, if you're interested about that, this month for August, because I think I'm gonna put that video a little bit like at the July 30, but in August we will talk about sock heels. So not only what types of heels goes for what type of socks, advice and stuff, and also I made tutorials for 3 different heels, so step by step everything, how to make the heel flap and gusset, the German short row heel, and the afterthought heel. So yeah, and when you access Patreon, you have access to all the back catalogue of all the videos that I have uploaded since last October. So you have a bunch of different themes to look through if you are interested. And if any case, like I said, it's a way for you to have another access behind the scenes and to also have patterns. Yeah, so that is it for the little Patreon thingy. I hope I didn't forget anything. So like I said, keep your eyes peeled for the Mystery Knit-along presentation. Everything, the links are in the video description, but if you want to hear more about it, I will put the video in the next couple of days. So I really hope you will enjoy the idea and that you will hop along if you like. And yeah, I think that's about it. Now I'm gonna go and die of heat because it stopped raining obviously, and now it's just heavy. It looks like Mordor outside. It's like I will see you again in mid-August, I believe. Yeah, for hopefully actual presentations of some projects that are not half secret. But yeah, until then, have a lovely middle of summer or middle of winter. I hope you are doing well, and I will see you soon. Bye!